Good afternoon and welcome to News 6 Extra. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. It is Monday, October 6th, and we have our producer, Kathleen Whittingham, standing by. Happy Monday, Kathleen.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
I I feel like I kind of have a case of the Monday blues today. I woke up to the sound of rain once again outside. I'm over the rain. I will
Yeah.
say my yard is looking nicer, greener.
Well, there you go. It's trade-off, you
Yes,
know?
but it's like it was spitting rain earlier. I'm looking out the window right now. It looks like it's stopped for the moment, but we've been dealing with this tropical stuff. We're going to have David Nazario talk about that in just a second. We do have a lot going on today. Also, airing today is a story that I've been working on where for the first time in 20 years, it's hard to believe, there will be a new person representing thousands of people in the city of Orlando. District 3 Commissioner Robert Stewart announced he is retiring, and that immediately just opened the floodgates. At one point, 7 different people
Oh,
decided that they were going to run. 2 people have withdrawn, so there's now 5 in the race. It is a nonpartisan race. We're going to introduce you to those candidates coming up. And then you'll want to stick around because you and I both have little dogs at home. Well,
yes.
my dog's a big dog. My Lucy's bigger than your Lucy.
Yep.
And you have Lucy Bell. I have Lucy. Her last name is Bell. But does Lucy like to lick your face?
Yes. Yes, a
How do you
lot.
feel about that?
I don't mind it. I just try not to think about the germs,
I
you
know.
know?
Well, there's been an investigation to see if there really are germs in those dog kisses. We're going to have that for you coming up. But first, we do want to check in with meteorologist David Nazario, who's standing by. David, are you tired of this rain? Like so many people, I think, are right now?
Yeah, as a native Floridian, I was thinking about that on my way in this morning. This is part of the course, especially as we get into the fall season. But no, Lisa, I'm tired of it. I'm ready
Yeah.
for some sunshine. I want things to cool off a little bit. I'm tired of sweating as soon as I set foot
Yes.
outside as well, thanks to our humidity out there.
Yes, just some consistency too. Like I couldn't plan for anything this weekend. I was at the ball field and I had my sunshade, like my hat on, and then I also had my umbrella, and then it got a little cool there. I mean, it's just a mess.
Yep. Yep. No
So what do we have?
consistency. And that's all
Yeah.
thanks to oh, yeah, like you were saying, just that on and off easterly flow. And in fact, we'll go ahead and get into it right now if you don't mind, because we've actually got a very active radar out there this afternoon. Take a look outside. So over the weekend, myself and meteorologist Michelle Morgan were dialing in your week ahead forecast, and we are right on the money in terms of today being our heaviest bout of rainfall. Very active setup affecting portions of northern Brevard, southern Volusia County, finally rocking into Seminole and Orange County. You can see there's some green polygons in here as well. We've got some aerial flood advisories in effect for some pretty densely populated areas of Volusia and Brevard County as these heavier pockets of rainfall and thunderstorms finally begin to work their way into our area. Look at Merritt Island, Port St. John, just to the immediate north of Cape Canaveral. That is a pretty stellar band of thunderstorms rolling in, and that's kind of a sight for sore eyes. Over the weekend and late last week, we didn't necessarily have thunderstorms. We had the rainfall. Things were rapidly moving east to west across the peninsula, but we didn't quite have the thunderstorms with them. They just didn't get that high up in the atmosphere. But today you can see we've got a mixed bag event of not only heavy rain, but some snap, crackling, and popping of thunder and lightning out there. And I want to show you one last thing before we move on from here. If you look at some of our rain rates out there, they are also very impressive. And think about it, folks watching at home. When you think about what we've seen the last several days, we've already gotten between 2, 3, 4, 5 inches in some spots. And in the last 3 hours there in northern Brevard, portions of Orange, Seminole, and Volusia, we just racked up another 2 to 3 inches. So some fairly hefty rainfall totals out there right now. And for those of you who are unaware, an aerial flood advisory doesn't mean anything catastrophic, life-threatening, but essentially we are starting to get some urban ponding, roadway flooding, collecting waters on the roadways that may impede or cause hazardous conditions if you are out and about, let alone operating a motor vehicle out there. So now that I've kind of got you up to speed on what's happening out there, this is your weather story. We've got good news, okay? One more big time rainy day ahead of us. It is underway right now before dry air begins to move in by tomorrow. And then up to the weekend, yeah, we might actually get our first touch of the pumpkin spice season, the spooky season, the Halloween fall festivities knocking on our door here in Central Florida, which I'm very excited for. Maybe we can finally get some consistency on our side as we get towards Friday and then this upcoming weekend. Looking at the rainfall totals out there, just intense. We've got a lot of water piling up pretty fast. These are the accumulations we've seen over the last 24 hours. Some of our station plots out there miss some of the heaviest rainfall totals. You can see in northern Brevard in just the last 24 hours, we've racked up approaching 3 inches of rain. Osceola and southern Brevard last night saw almost a deluge of training heavier rainfall that went on from about 8 o'clock at night till well after our 11 o'clock newscast last night. We were doing some hand tracking in the studio during the 11 o'clock show, just covering all the torrential rains that were coming down out there. And then in the last 3 days, goes without saying, on average, we've seen anywhere between 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. And then down there in Osceola, Brevard, and Orange, you can see where a lot of those heaviest rainfalls really came down. And hopefully we can clear that out within the next 24 hours. This is the setup. So off to our southeast, if you look, there's that big old dome of blue out there. That was previously highlighted by National Hurricane Center. They have since dropped it, but that's what's helping to really intensify the amount of moisture we have in our air, coupled with high pressure that's hanging out near Bermuda and the mid-Atlantic coast of the eastern United States. I want us to kind of keep just a bit of a careful eye on that thing over the Bahamas, because even though National Hurricane Center has lost confidence in it, some of our computer models haven't quite just yet. So it's going to be interesting to watch it over the next few days as it meanders off towards the west and eventually southwest away from us. You can see the winds are still ripping in out of the east, running perpendicular over the state, so gusty conditions are going to prevail right along our immediate coastline and through central Florida. You can see we are going to get fairly breezy and gusty out there later this afternoon, approaching what would be considered tropical depression strength by about 4 to 5 o'clock, so definitely be careful. High winds coupled with very rainy roads could definitely cause impacts during your afternoon commute later on today, so we want to be careful out there. I know we have breaking news as of right now. As a matter of fact, a potential fatal crash out there just occurred moments ago, so it's already happening. We got to be very careful out there, maintain our situational awareness, and then you can see as we go through the next 7 days, notice the winds really back off by the weekend. That's the tease there. Watch, rock with me here. You'll see why. Temperatures outside right now, fairly comfortable, all things considered. It's really the humidity that's keeping us socked in thanks to all the moisture and the rainfall. And the forecast highs are not going to come up any, or near, I should say, much further from where we are sitting right now, topping out in the mid 80s. Remember this, we're going to do some very simple math at the end of the update here in a moment. Looking at our clouds and rain, I'm going to very quickly get through this just because we already know what's happening. It's going to be rainy today. It looks like those rains are going to stick around with us until about 7, 8, maybe 9 o'clock tonight, before tomorrow we finally get a little bit of that dry air to start mixing in. Still looking at about a 40 to some odd chance for rain tomorrow, but you will see a lot less of it across the peninsula, and it really shows when you take a look at our rain chances today versus your Tuesday tomorrow. Notice how we really back off on the colors there, and we mainly hug the east coast of central Florida in terms of where our heaviest rainfall will be. And then we still have that excessive rainfall outlook for the day today against our east coast counties. Now, where we go from here, watch the jet stream here, okay? This is where it gets a little interesting. We're finally going to bully the pattern that's been in place for the last 5 or so days out of our neighborhood, out of the eastern United States, and we welcome a trough of cooler, drier air. As it begins to dig very early Thursday morning into your Friday and then Saturday, look at how it finally starts to dip into the upper Gulf Coast and across the state of Florida, where we start to develop a little area of low pressure. We want this one. That's not going to be a tropical low pressure. This one's going to help to coax a little bit more of that dry, cooler air from up north down through us. You can see as we rock through the next 5 days together, look at how the colors very quickly change from those darker shades of red indicating the tropical air to the continental dry air coming in out of the north just in time for our weekend. Look at the timestamp at the top there, Saturday, 12 p.m. You can see the maritime air is finally kicking up out of here, and we're welcoming a nice break. This is where it gets good. This is, like I said, where we got to do a little simple math at home if you're watching. So Friday into Saturday and then Sunday, according to the Euro, our afternoon high temperatures could be about 3 to 5 degrees lower than where we are now. Doesn't seem like much on the surface, but if you're sitting in 100% humidity at about 85 degrees, you have the humidity by 50%, and you subtract 4 to 5 degrees from your afternoon high temperature, and we're looking really good for Saturday and Sunday with increased sunshine out there to top it all off and make it a lot more beautiful than what we saw yesterday, the day before, and especially today. Now, it is still hurricane season. We have Invest 95L out there really starting to show signs of further organization. I would not be surprised if over the next day or two we have Tropical Storm Jerry out there that we'll be tracking, moving towards the Lesser Antilles of the Caribbean before finding a weakness in our subtropical ridge out there and ejecting up towards the north away from the United States. So hopefully impacts will be fairly minimal with this system for everybody out there. You can see Imelda had finally closed out itself over the Atlantic. Jerry is next up on the list, and we're going to be watching very carefully where good old Karen decides to try to spawn in out there, because there's a couple different signals out there. You can see the one for 95L curving away, another small pocket of probabilities near Florida, but then down there to our south, a very trademark source region for this time of the hurricane season, where we typically watch for the return of something called the gyre. I've got a story over on clickorlando.com if you'd like a crash course on that very quickly, but we'll be tracking that very closely to see what that signal does as we get towards the middle portions of October, since conditions are expected to improve for tropical development to our south and west. But finally, let's go back to the good news. Here's your 7-day forecast. Notice the rain chances are highest today before we drop off for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, creep back up into the 60 percentile by Friday as that front comes down, and then take a look at those weekend temperatures. Low 80s for much of our area, and if the European model verifies, some of us may not even reach 80 degrees on Sunday, Lisa.
All right, David, thank you. Looking forward to those slightly cooler temperatures for sure. As you mentioned and alluded to, we are following some breaking news on the roads this afternoon. Really just an awful crash that happened in Sanford, and it has shut down State Road 46. Troopers tell us the driver of a Honda was traveling eastbound on I-4 near the overpass of State Road 46 when investigators say the driver ran off the road, struck a guardrail, went over the overpass, falling onto the road below, and actually hit another car. Now, the driver of that Honda, we're told, died at the scene. Amazingly, the person in the other vehicle was not hurt, but you can see both vehicles there out there. Again, State Road 46 shut down after that Honda apparently went over the overpass and landed onto the road below it there. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you. Today marks day 6 of the partial government shutdown. The Senate is back on Capitol Hill after taking the weekend off. They are expected to vote again on the same spending bills that have failed to win enough votes previously. CBS's Natalie Brand explains right now there does not appear to be any progress between Republicans and Democrats, which means that this shutdown is likely to continue.
Senators are returning to Capitol Hill with little optimism for a breakthrough.
Well, there's not a lot to negotiate, Maria. It's the Democrats just need to open up the government. Right now, we're at a stalemate. They've now voted 4 times.
Majority Leader John Thune says lawmakers later today will take up the same dueling spending measures that failed multiple times last week.
The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
Democratic leaders fault Republicans for not negotiating as they push for extending enhanced health care tax credits.
We've been trying for months and months to sit down with them and have a serious conversation addressing America's health care needs. And they've refused and refused and refused.
The White House and Republican leaders insist Democrats reopen the government first before tackling health care. If negotiations remain at a standstill, President Trump says he's prepared to move forward with mass layoffs.
It's taking place right now, and it's all because of the Democrats. The Democrats are causing the loss of a lot of jobs with their, it's a shutdown. It's their shutdown, not our shutdown. It's their shutdown.
But a new CBS News poll shows neither side is looking good to the American public. 39% blame President Trump and congressional Republicans for the shutdown. 30% blame Democrats, and 31% blame both equally. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Well, for the first time in decades, thousands of people in the city of Orlando will have someone new representing them at City Hall. As I mentioned earlier, District 3 Commissioner Robert Stewart has announced he is retiring after serving for 20 years. Now, District 3 covers neighborhoods like Baldwin Park, Audubon Park, Rosemont, and College Park. So I recently had a chance to sit down with each of the 5 candidates who was running. I asked them the same set of questions, including what do they think is the most pressing issue facing District 3 and the city of Orlando? Here's what they had to say. What do you think is the biggest issue facing District 3 and the city of Orlando?
Really, there are 2 issues, transportation and housing, and they're both linked together. Everybody that I've been hearing from talks about the transportation challenges. I would love to see Sunrail expanded at the 441 corridor, and to have the Lynx bus go more frequently, to have more routes so that we have more coverage, and to increase the appeal of Lynx so that people will decide to use public transit. Then we won't need as much space for parking, and we can use that space to build more affordable housing.
So when I think of affordability, I think about expanding transit. I think of walkability, where you can walk from your neighborhood to Edgewater Drive or Ivanhoe or Corinne Drive. There are planning tools you can use related to density. So that's bringing more units online in neighborhoods and areas where it's density appropriate. So you think about property taxes, regulations, trying to keep government, make our lives easier, not harder.
1,500 people are moving here per week, according to a report, and we're not meeting the need of those people when it comes to our supply of housing. So I believe we need some policy reform when it comes to zoning. When you go through Rosemont, you see all types of variety of housing. You see single-family homes, duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, and it doesn't stop. And I believe we need that diversity in all of our neighborhoods. I believe that's instrumental in making our city more affordable.
So I think the ways we address affordability is, one, investing in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. According to city code, there is a trust fund, but no amount of money is required to actually go towards it. So I would like to make that a hard reoccurring amount. I also believe we need to do a better job through what's called inclusionary zoning. So making sure we properly zone neighborhoods to include things like ADUs, townhomes, quadplexes, things like that.
City of Orlando as a whole, we know some of the biggest issues are homelessness. And that's not just an Orlando issue, that is a regional issue. Transportation is also going to be a huge regional issue, and there are regional coalitions that are working on that. What I see, and the role that I'd like to play as commissioner, is really engaging the community. So if Orlando says, hey, I want to solve the homeless problem or the transportation problem, it's not going to be able to do that on its own. We really need to engage residents and inspire them to be involved, and I think that comes from just making really strong connections.
So those are the 5 candidates in order: Mira Tana, Roger Chapin, Chris Durant, Samuel Chambers, and Kimberly Kiss. Kathleen, I have to tell you, I spent about 30 minutes with each person. They were pretty much on the same page on every issue that I asked them about. And you can go to clickorlando.com and actually see, I posted the full interview with each of those candidates. I asked them about how they felt about Governor DeSantis and his calling for property tax cuts. They responded to that, as well as something I asked them each is, is there anything that you'd like to share with us that I didn't ask you about? And that was kind of interesting to hear their responses. Learned something a little different about each of the candidates. So that is available online. Yeah. So speaking of affordability, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there is a big hearing underway in Tallahassee that could impact utility rates for millions of Floridians. And then, of course, as promised, the story about if Lucy's mouth and your pet's mouth is clean when they like to give you a kiss. We're going to have that for you coming up. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. It is Monday, October 6th, and happening today, a big hearing is underway in Tallahassee that will determine how much millions of Floridians pay for their power. As News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez explains, Florida Power and Light is asking regulators for a big increase in their rates.
The utility company is asking for a lot of money. It wants a $945 million base rate increase next year, another $766 million in 2027, and then additional increases for 2028 and 2029. Some groups like the AARP have been pushing back, saying the rate hikes will be too much for seniors and those on a fixed income. But the company says it needs the increase to keep up with the growing population and to pay for new solar and battery projects.
This is about building new power plants to meet the growing demand for power here in Florida. It's about replacing aging infrastructure that gets pummeled by severe weather here in Florida almost daily. And it's about adding more innovative technology to our grid.
If the proposed settlement is approved, FPL says the average customer will see rates go up $2.50 per month beginning in January and continue increasing each year through 2029, an increase that the AARP of Florida says will be detrimental to those on fixed incomes.
The last thing we want our members or any senior across the state of Florida to have to face is not putting their AC down at a level that's adequate to meet their health needs, because it's going to cost them too much.
The AARP is also encouraging members to send a message to the Florida Public Service Commission to encourage them to deny this rate increase. The hearing starts today in Tallahassee and could take up to 2 weeks before a decision is made. Reporting in Sanford, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
All right. Well, most of us consider our pets to be a part of our family. In fact, nearly half of all homes have a dog, and about 1/3 of all homes have a cat, which of course means lots of cuddles and kisses. But how clean really is your pet's mouth? CBS's Susan Elizabeth Littlefield finds out if there is really an ick in those licks.
On a path full of pups, Willie makes his own way.
He's a cat who was born to be outside. I'd like to just kiss him on the head like that.
And when it comes to pets and their people, kisses universally abound. Does she ever lick your face?
She tries to. She licks my wife's face.
Do you let him lick your face? What's your...
I mean, I can't say no. I've heard that a dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's mouth.
What do you think?
It's probably true on certain occasions.
I've heard it, yeah.
What do you think?
I don't believe it.
This is the beginning of the periodontal disease.
Dr. Vivian Pignoni performs oral surgery on pets, so she knows the rumor. Dogs' mouths are cleaner than humans' mouths. Is that true?
This is a myth.
She says dogs, cats, and their humans all have mouths full of bacteria. It's just pets and humans have different kinds.
We have some bacteria that they can transmit to humans, like salmonella from the food, and also pasteurella.
And rabies. They can transfer to humans through saliva and, of course, bites. Oh, it's so fun to have your dog or your cat kiss you.
If they have a good home care and don't have periodontal disease and maintain the vaccines and all preventatives, then it'd be safe to do it.
She suggests brushing your pet's teeth daily and getting a yearly professional cleaning. So if we get that dental care in check, you can let them kiss you.
Yes.
Okay. Because affection and ignorance can be bliss. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, CBS News.
All right, Kathleen, what do you think? You gonna go home and let Lucy Bell lick you all over?
That does make you question it, but I can't say no to her little face. Like, she gets so excited to see me when I come home, so I don't want to be like, no, get away from me. I
mean, yeah, is she just trying to lick, like go crazy? Is that how she greets you?
Usually, yes.
Okay.
And
Lucy...
call it kikis. She gives me kikis, which is kisses.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Lucy really doesn't, unless I get down in her face and I'm talking to her and scratching behind her ears, and then she'll just sneak out a little lick and try and lick my cheek or something.
Yeah.
And but I don't encourage it. I find it a little nasty because you see what she's trying to eat, when we're on a walk. She's bathing herself, you know.
Right.
I don't really want that. Do you brush Lucy's teeth daily?
I don't brush them daily. She
Okay.
fights me on the teeth brushing, but I do take her every now and then and get her teeth brushed, and then she gets her cleaning once a year. So they say that's okay, but I'm with you. Like some of the food that they're eating and some of the random things they want to eat.
Oh yeah, like if we see who knows what along our walk, my Lucy is trying to lick it, pick it up, you know, nasty.
Yeah.
Anywho, there is a new celebrity embrace trend that everyday folks can easily replicate. I'm loving this. We need more of this in our life.
Me
It's
too.
a story, right? It's a story of less is more, and we're talking about the so-called no makeup movement. I don't know about you, but when I'm not at work, I am not wearing makeup. Like,
Nope.
yeah.
I'm not.
No.
This comes off in the parking lot usually.
Right? It's a ponytail, no makeup, and if I could, I'd be in my pajamas all weekend. As CBS's Gwen Baumgartner explains, the trend has reached all the way to the red carpet, but what about here in the workplace?
Gentle circular motion.
Deborah Borg is putting her best face forward, makeup free. The human resources executive gave up cosmetics 4 years ago and is now getting a lesson in polishing her look.
It looks more professional, actually, more polished than what I would normally do. Because I normally wear just a matte chapstick or a lip balm, but I quite like that.
Actress Pamela Anderson has become the most recent celebrity face of the no makeup movement, and singer Alicia Keys before her. Anderson has described the choice as freedom and a relief. But can it work for professional women in the workplace?
I do still think that there are some politics associated with it. More around just feeling and looking polished, I think, more than anything else.
With a no makeup look, there's no rules.
Makeup artist Rebecca Robles says bare beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, and it all starts with a 5-step skincare process.
You'll want to leave your skin a little bit damp. That's going to help properly absorb the rest of your products.
And those products are flying off the shelves. The skincare products market in the U.S. was valued at nearly $23 billion in 2023, according to Grandview Research, and it's expected to grow 4.2% annually through 2030 as more people prioritize clean, clear skin and a youthful glow.
It's a vitamin C serum.
Robles says after proper moisturization and sun protection, the rest is really up to you.
I always encourage people to experiment and play, and if they have a product like Deb does with her bold red lip, if they have a product that they love, they should feel the freedom to incorporate that into their no makeup look.
The freedom to do less is putting a smile on fresh faces. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I like it.
I like it too.
But I don't like how they included that, but you can buy all of these products. I mean, the whole point is to like not buy stuff, not put stuff on your face, except for you got to do sunscreen.
Well, that is true. You got to do the sunscreen, but I'm with you. When she said the 5-step process, I was like, well,
that sounds expensive.
Yes, exactly.
And exactly, I don't want a bunch of steps. That's why we do the no makeup, because that's more than a 5-step process. So
right, exactly.
Yes, we want the 0-step, just 1-step sunscreen. All right. Well, we'll just go home and let Lucy lick it all off for us. Kathleen, this was fun. Of course, you can always get the latest updates on clickorlando.com, as well as I mentioned earlier, my full interviews with all of those candidates running for District 3 in the city of Orlando. And be sure to join us for our next newscast starting this afternoon at 4.